GMO. Sound familiar? If not, we're here to shed some light on the issue. Over the past few years, there has been increased commotion regarding the use of genetically modified organisms in our food supply. So much indeed that anti-GMO activists worldwide came together for the third consecutive protest against the ethics of agrochemical giant Monsanto. On May 24th, 2014, the global march took place in over 50 countries with an estimated attendance of 2 million people. In order to get a better understanding of the animosity towards this company, we took part in our local gathering here in Salt Lake City. This is what people had to say.
You know, and people get angry when you tell them the truth, but that's what we've got to do.
It is not government of the people, by the people, and for the people as it was intended to be.
Everyday working class people are left out. They're left out in the decision making, they're left out in the planning, and in the end, we just have to scramble in order to just make ends meet.
It is a Pluto oligarchy, government of, by, and for the few wealthy elites who have a stranglehold on Congress, on our regulatory agencies, and on the White House.
Monsanto is well known to be a poison of our food system. Our government doesn't seem to care.
People need to know because they don't, plain and simple.
You know, it's just a cycle of corruption and money, and so, you know, it's very clear for anyone who wants to see it, I think.
They literally are destroying everything, and it's not just GMOs. Everything they touch is poison.
They're just bullies.
I get more upset every day.
So, what are GMOs? Simply stated, GMOs are just genetically modified organisms. But what's happening here is behind closed doors, plant genes and animal genes are being mixed together to get certain attributes and growth patterns that have both positive and negative effects.
One example would be they would take the genes of a fish and splice it into a tomato to have certain effects, certain growth patterns.
But the more limited the genetics gets, the more mutation and the more the nutritional value actually diminishes in the crops. And this has been testable content.
I have a granddaughter, and she's being fed GMO food. Everybody's feeding it to their babies. And there's 300 people here upset.
When you hear the name Monsanto, the first thing that pops into your head are GMOs right here in the United States. What you don't hear about is what Monsanto's doing all over the world.
So the reason we're marching against Monsanto is because of their ongoing war in Colombia. Monsanto, as we all know in the United States, controls a majority of people's food supplies. They do experiments on food supplies, and a lot of people doesn't sit well. But also Monsanto has huge international dealings. For instance, in Colombia, what they do is they aid the drug war by fumigating the areas with their Roundup Ultra. And what that does is it actually just destroys entire food crops. And once the food crops are destroyed, farmers are left with a choice to either buy seeds from Monsanto, which are Terminator seeds, which means that they're not reusable. They have to buy them every time, or they can grow coca, which again contributes to the drug war.
The only plant hardy enough to survive Ultra is the coca plant. So they spray fruits, vegetables, corn, tomatoes, so people can't survive, and then they're forced, literally forced to turn to selling coca plants to make some cash so that they can then buy the food from the cities. So it's not even just cruel and inhumane, it doesn't even make sense on its face. Plan Colombia has spent $8 billion on this war, and we've seen no results. It's really just a war against the people of Colombia, of which Monsanto is really supplying the chemical weapons, weapons of mass destruction, to be perfectly honest.
They've committed all these crimes against humanity, and because of the collusion with the government, they're protected. And the Monsanto Protection Act was the final slap in the face. You know, Obama promised, he ran on a campaign for immediate GMO labeling and then went and betrayed every person that voted for him by signing the Monsanto Protection Act. It is the ultimate slap in the face.
The duty of the FDA is to regulate the food that we consume. Now, are they really doing their job, or are they more concerned with the interests of these major corporations?
The FDA is now run in large part by officials who come from the companies that are supposed to be regulated by the FDA. and who return to those companies after they've corrupted the FDA.
The person that's in charge of our food safety used to be a Monsanto lawyer.
Lobbyists in Monsanto who then become politicians, to politicians who then become lobbyists to Monsanto. You can see, unmitigated flow of money, from the private corporations into the government.
The way the private sector, public sector game in politics works is you work a few years in the public sector, you go to Monsanto, you get bored there, you go back, you run the FDA like it's currently happening now.
So the arena is packed and the game is about to begin. The players are the FDA, Monsanto, and the politicians. And truly they're all on the same team, against us. The interesting thing is, with Monsanto being involved with things like Agent Orange, PCBs, DDTs, and all these other fun-sounding acronyms that mean terrible things, who's the real winner in all of this? Is it even them? Their children? Us and our children? The world? Hard to say.
If Monsanto's gone tomorrow, someone else will take their place. We definitely should fight against Monsanto. We should fight against all of these big corporations. But until we hit at the root, the heart of the problem, which is a system that puts profits over people, we'll just keep seeing very similar kinds of things.
It is our duty to shine a bright light on those public officials corrupted by money, from those who want to buy public policy that is inimical to our interests, and to throw them out. We will continue to resist the Monsantos of the world and the control that they have over our government. The FDA is supposed to be protecting the people of the United States from unsafe foods and drugs. Just look at its website. The FDA itself says it is, quote, responsible for the safety and security of most of our nation's food supply.
They control the regulations on pharmaceuticals. If you are selling nutritional products and you claim healing properties, even if you're dead on accurate with science, you can actually be sued by the FDA, by these pharmaceutical companies, because the pharmaceutical companies own the rights to those cures.
It is because our government, on a disgraceful, bipartisan basis, has been serving the interests of the insurance and pharmaceutical industries instead of the interests of the people.
If something happens where the awareness level rises, and they're like, oh, okay, we gotta back off a little bit, you know what I mean? Because they're starting to catch on, But if they can make some money and, kind of sweep things under the rug a little bit, then they probably will.
By focusing on profit instead of people, we've arrived at this monstrous system where corporations can do whatever they want. They're considered more people than we are.
It is a classic case of the fox guarding the hen house. We are the hens, and the foxes include those we elect who are financed by the corporate foxes, neither of whom really give a damn about us.
It can be intimidating going up against a corporation as powerful as Monsanto. But what solutions do we have? What alternatives? What can we do different?
This is the third global event, and when people from all over the world, all walks of life, can put aside differences and come together to say, we don't want to be poisoned, we don't want this toxic entity dominating our food supply, I think that shows that profound change is on the horizon.
Right now we need to realize that our leaders have been bought. We need new leaders. We need the young and the people that have been disaffected.
Making people aware is the first step. You got to give them information. You got to give them resources. You got to get them connected with their communities. We don't need to take them on head on, because that's what they're expecting. What we get to do is actually empower ourselves, empower our communities, empower our families with knowledge and tools and inspiration to actually say, I know a list of resources within my community. I'm going to go to those people. And I'm going to encourage my local grocers to stock non-GMO. And I'm going to encourage my community to say, we've had enough, and we're going to have another solution.
There's always some site of struggle we can find, and the real challenge, besides having enough hours in the day to carry out the work that we've got to do, is to just recognize that we all can make a difference. It sounds trite, but stand up and fight back.
We will work together and pledge to overthrow the Pluto oligarchy and reclaim our republic, a government of, by, and for the people.
Monsanto's power as a company has been derived since its beginning in 1901. It has cleverly hidden itself behind the veil of public knowledge and information.
Just know that every dollar you spend, you're casting a vote. Every time you purchase a product, you're saying that you're okay with the business ethics and practices of that company.
Do your own research and dig deeper than mainstream sources. Talk to your friends and your family. Be proactive in your community. And most importantly, be conscious of the foods and products that you consume. Together, we can fight to make this world a better place for us, for our children, and for future generations to come.